See if we get people starting to roll in here on this one. There we go. We've got a couple of people in here. We're going to wait just a couple of minutes for people to roll on into everything. We've got 16 people live here in the chat right now. What's happening, everyone? Thanks for tuning into the chat right here with Rustbelt Mechanic. Tonight we've got a special kind of event here for you guys. We've gotten a hold of a couple of Instagram stars over from there. Some females who are actual mechanics in the field. You know, everybody is seeing all of the quote-unquote Instagram models and babes who are changing tires in their bikini, and we kind of want to get away from that. We want to showcase some of the actual mechanics who are putting in the day-to-day grind and doing actual work and actually knowing what they're doing. So live with me tonight, I have Casey and Christine. Casey over on Instagram. I will also have down in the description after this links to their Instagram channels. Casey over there is mechanic_chick.
Hey, there's
two underscores. Okay. I will make sure to remind me. I will make sure to do that one too. And then Christine's is Speedychick85. Primarily, they do a lot of awesome stuff, post a lot of really cool things on Instagram. If you guys are into the automotive field over on Instagram, like to check out some of the things that technicians in general do over there, then they would definitely be something that you guys would really want to check out. So we've got a couple of different ones. Got a couple of different questions to be able to ask the ladies tonight, and some of them are questions that you guys have kind of thrown into the mix. I posted a post on Instagram earlier yesterday and have been talking to a couple of people before, so we kind of got a couple of questions, just in general to be able to ask for them. So tonight we're going to be going back and forth. We're going to start off with Christine. Tonight, give her the first question, and we're going to kind of go back and forth with everything. So one of the first talking points and questions that we have for you this evening is just kind of introduce yourself. We want to know who you are, where you work for, what kind of work do you do in the automotive industry?
Well, again, I'm Christine. I work for a Chrysler dealership in Eastern Pennsylvania. I'm a 16-year Chrysler Master Tech. I work on everything from Fiat 500s through to Ram 5500s. I'm certified. I grew up in Ontario, Canada. I'm certified in both Canada and Pennsylvania. I have my red seal throughout all of Canada for certifications. And I very nearly became a Chrysler training instructor in Boston. I've done all sorts of stuff. I drag race. I don't know what else to tell you, really.
That's a good start, at least.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Casey? What kind of mechanic stuff are you getting into? Where are you at? Where are you working at?
All right. So I am in Traverse City, Michigan, which is like the top, not like the tip top of Michigan, but I'm up there. I'm a certified diesel mechanic, and I know my basic knowledge is from like small engines all the way up to your big semis. So I know a lot of that. And Michigan certified. In Michigan we go by our licenses. So ASEs aren't really a big thing here. You have to get certified through Michigan in order to have a license.
Right. So for the viewers who do not know, in a greater portion of the United States, to become a mechanic, it's a good idea to have ASE certifications or manufacturer certifications to be able to have that under your belt. But for the majority of the states, you do not have to have any kind of license or certification as a requirement to be able to work for it. However, Michigan would happen to be one of those states where you have to have a certified license to be a mechanic. Personally, I think that is something that it should be something that would be, kind of widespread across the United States, that, these cars are something that kind of roll up and down the interstate at 85 miles an hour, carrying, you know, the livelihoods of everyone. So it would be kind of in the best interest to see some of those people that actually have some knowledge working on your cars. Not always, you know, the things that happen in these days. You know, there are some trainees, but they should be covered, you know, through some kind of a program. At least that's in my opinion.
Yeah.
So going into the first question. Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm going to go into the first question to ask for Casey. What got you started working on the trucks? I know you said you are a big diesel mechanic. I know if anybody has checked out her Instagram account, she works on a lot of, I'm not going to hold it against her now, but the Fords, you know, the big old blue ovals, you know, but somebody's got to work on them, right?
Exactly.
What got you started on those?
Well, I started with small engines. So I used to race lawnmowers. So I used to build racing lawnmowers when I was about 12. And it just kind of grew from a smaller engine to wanting to do something bigger. So I went to college for the whole diesel thing. And I was like, well, I kind of want to, like, I don't mind working on semis, but it's not like I can do it. I do it for my job, but I'd rather work on automotive diesels more than anything. So started out building racing lawnmowers and kind of grew from there.
That's awesome. Well, how about you, Christine?
I grew up in a family that, you know, the first place I wandered off as a kid was a car show. So, I mean, at 10 years old, I took an engine apart. It just kind of went from being a hobby to becoming a job. And, you know, 16 years later, I'm still doing it, and hopefully I'm good at it.
Well, that is definitely the hope for things, at least. You know, when I ended up growing up, I didn't have a whole lot of automotive background experience. My family was a big thing into older, I guess, more eclectic things like American Motors, AMC cars. I know you guys don't hold that one against me either, but you know, we started off with some of those AMCs. My grandpa had an old Isuzu Pup chop down that we ended up working on left and right. But as far as my dad and my upbringing, we fixed things around the house, but we didn't really have a lot of automotive experience aside from just changing out brakes and everything. It was one of those things where I actually went in and got a degree nearly in criminal justice, and about what started into becoming a police officer and going into that field when I decided, you know what, that really wasn't what I wanted to do. So I decided to get into something. I like tearing stuff apart. Couldn't always put it back together, but I like tearing stuff apart. So it kind of leewayed into me enjoying working on cars, my cars, especially working on little fancy things here and there. And that's kind of how I got thrown into that. Next question coming for you guys. We'll take this one to Christine first. What certifications and degrees do you have? I know you kind of tagged on this a little bit. And how have those helped you get into the workplace and where you are today?
Well, like I kind of mentioned before, I have my Red Seal certificate or my Red Seal endorsement in Ontario. However, Red Seal endorsement is very much that mandatory certification all across Canada. Each province and territory has its own certification. If you score high enough on the certification test, you actually get your Red Seal endorsement, which means it's valid in any province or territory. So basically, I can work in any shop in any province or territory in Canada. So I have that endorsement. That's you know, you can walk into any shop and say, I can work here, you know, if you obviously get the job. And then in Pennsylvania, I have my state and emissions inspection licenses. The certification in Ontario is 9,000 hours of apprenticeship, 3 years of college, and then a certification exam, along with a practical skills test book. It's considerable. And that alone, you know, that doesn't get you in the door. You start off as an apprentice. But when you can explain that to somebody, that obviously gets you in the door, especially here in Pennsylvania where you don't need a license to work on cars, you know, but it helps. So yeah, I mean that's a major plus. The 3 years of college is a major plus. I have a background. I was going to be a mechanical engineer when I started working in a shop. So it definitely, you know, this sort of stuff helps. I think it helps give you perspective on everything.
Wow, that's awesome. I know that's actually considerable amount of training compared to what it takes to start to get into here in the United States. The ASE certifications, for you guys who do not have those, it takes, even to be able to get started, you can go and take your tests at any time, but you're supposed to have at least 2 years is certification experience in a shop that has another previously performed ASE certification. So you have to have time in a shop working for them on top of passing your ASE certification tests. Again, not a requirement here in Ohio and majority of the United States, but again, it is a good thing that definitely helps to have. Now, how about you, Casey? What kind of certs do you get looking at?
Okay, so I have about 6 of my Michigan certifications. I have actually, I have my associate's degree in diesel mechanics and agricultural equipment, so tractors and everything else. I just took it so I would have it under my belt. Do I like working on tractors and loaders? And not my thing as much as, I mean, I can do it. Do I like to? No. But, and I also have an alternate fuels diploma, which I don't really do that much with. If you have a hybrid, I mean, I'll look at it, but that's about as good as we're getting.
Awesome. Yeah, I know it's hard getting into, you know, spreading yourself out across the different fields and the different certifications. It's always nice to have something to, you know, make yourself, set yourself aside from the standard technicians who are in the field, make yourself more wanted, needed, and, you know, hopefully get yourself some more pay in the field where you guys are working. So that's always a big plus for that one. So we'll come back into you, Casey, and ask you the next question to start off here. Did you have any mentors, or when you got started in your diesel field and training, or journeyman, other techs that helped you to get your training done in starting in the field?
Well, don't forget, you always learn something new every day.
That's right. That's right.
So my boss that I have now has been by far the best mentor. I can say that I've ever had. I've learned so much in the shop that I'm in. But before that, I internshiped at a shop before I went to college. I went to University of Northwestern Ohio. It's all right. But so I went there and went through that. Ended up going to a shop right after college, and it was horrible. Like my supervisor hated me. No, it happens. But so honestly, my best mentor that I've had has been the boss that I recently have right now.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So what about you, Christine? Any mentors or starting into the field for you?
Not so much mentors. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to jump into things right away. I was 16 or 17 in the shop, and I think within like a first year, I was pulling transmissions out of cars. And I'm really grateful that I had that opportunity to get deep into things and kind of not do it on my own, but get into things more than how we start people off now with just doing oil changes. Because if you're given the opportunity, you're going to be given the opportunity for experience. And experience is how we grow knowledge. Giving people the job of oil changes and hoping that someday we turn them into full-scale mechanics is a lot harder of a job than if we show people, you know, this is how we're doing something a little bit more. They don't get bored.
I definitely agree with that one, and that's one of the biggest things. I know you said you were possibly thinking about being an instructor over at one of the classes. And that was one of the things that I was actually offered a couple of years ago as well. I ended up not taking them up on that job because it would have ended up being so much of a pay cut that it just wasn't feasible at the time. But it's something that I kind of wanted to do from the beginning in being a mentor to somebody. So at the point where I'm at in being able to have a couple of CAP students and helping them to learn in the field, that also, helped to further their education and help me to be able to, help people learn in the field as well. But one of the big things that we like to have pointed out is the guys who go through this CAP program, it's an 8-week on, 8-week off program back and forth between school and work. The majority of the experience and actual learning that you're going to get is going to come from the hands-on experience. Yes, you do get some kind of knowledge-based platform to be able to build off of and everything, but that actual hands-on experience is something that you can't match by any means. The worst thing that dealerships do nowadays is they throw these CAP students onto the oil change racks. They throw them on there for the full 2 years, maybe doing a couple tires and brakes, and then after that 2 years is up, they're going to be going to the field, and they throw them into the flat rate. Now, what do? They sink right away. It's depressing to see. It sucks. And then these dealers are like, well, what? You guys were supposed to have been learning something at school. You guys are supposed to, be fully certified. What's up with this? You guys can't do anything. They've got the platform for everything, but they don't have the actual hands-on experience. And it's kind of, depressing to see those dealers who don't actually put their CAP students in through. All right. So the next question, we're going to go back in to Christine. Have you ever felt any disadvantages or hardships as a woman, or just in general getting started in the field, in particular when going through training or when trying to get a job in the automotive field when you were starting things out?
Not so much. When I was starting off, I kind of lucked out in that my manager was really easygoing, my first manager. I started off through a high school program, so it was free labor for them to begin with, which was they're not going to turn down. And once I'd kind of proven myself, then they took me on. That was a major plus. So I didn't have any issues with that. I have had managers I've had issues with in the past. I think we've all had managers that we've kind of butted heads with at some point. So I don't expect that to be too much different, male, female. But I know it does exist. I have had issues. There was a manager I had who was kind of a what do you know? But in the end, all the guys in the shop stuck up for me.
That's good. That's really good. And I know that it's kind of not so much as a minority scene issue, but having the female side of things in the training side, at least when we're going through the CAP students and the training centers that I go to, it's very, very one-sided. I don't think that I have actually seen another female technician in the training area since I've been going back for updated training services over the last 3 years, which is kind of an odd thing because we're a fairly large training center for being Cincinnati, Ohio, but we just don't see them. Which it's really good seeing your side of things, on the Chrysler side for training that they are out there and they do exist as top-notch technicians. Now, how about you? You, Casey?
Well, I've been through 9 shops till I got to where I'm at right now. For me, some shops are kind of a little bit harder. I have a shop that I did work at once before that everyone asked me why I didn't sue them for sexual harassment, but I'm not all about, I don't want to take people to court. Just move out my way and let me do what I have to do. But I've had my resume thrown back at me across of a counter once. That was a trip. It's just, you need to find your right group of people that you want to work with. And there's some shops where females don't think you should be next to them working. So that doesn't work out all the time either. But lately, like I said, where I got to where I'm at, and I've been here for 2 years now, it's been awesome. So I couldn't actually, the shop that I'm at right now, it was gonna be my last give it all. Like, I'm gonna try this. If it doesn't work, this resume doesn't go through, I don't get this interview, I'm just gonna stop, because I was like at that point in my life to where I just didn't want to do it anymore. But then my boss gave me a chance, and it's been eye-opening. So
that's awesome to see that you had that persistence to go through 9 different shops.
Pretty crazy.
That's pretty awesome. So when you guys are working in the shop nowadays, we know, primarily, Casey, you're doing diesel stuff. Christine, you're working on the Mopar side of things. There's 2 different cars that we want to hear about from you. We want to hear about when you're in the shop, what's your favorite thing to work on? And then outside of the shop, what's your favorite thing to work on outside of the shop? We can go with you first there, Casey.
Well, I work in the shop on 6.0s a lot, and I own one. So out of the shop, I mean, I don't mind working on my own stuff, so I can't complain. And I'm pretty damn good at it. So as long as my truck runs good and I can make other people's trucks run good, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Wait. You're a technician who likes working on their own stuff?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, not all the time, but when it doesn't run right, because I do drive it forward. So I don't mind working on my own stuff.
I gotcha. So what about you, Christine?
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat. I've always owned Mopars. I've got my, my Hemi Charger. I've got my Hemi Dakota. We're even putting a Hemi in my husband's AMX. I work on this stuff during the day, and I kind of carry it on through to my, weekend work. So same sort of deal.
What are you doing with your Hemi swap things this year?
Well, like I said, the Dakota is we're actually going to put a cam in it. Because it's probably 450 horsepower right now. We're going to round that off to 500 and see how that drives. The Charger is 600 horsepower, and we're gonna tweak it a little bit to make it launch a little bit better. And I'm hoping this year too.
That's awesome. Very cool seeing you guys doing extra stuff on the side. I know, Casey, I've seen on your Instagram post you do a lot of side-by-side stuff too in your off time. What about that one?
Well, we actually, the boyfriend and I, we had 4-wheelers for a good while, Player Sportsman. And then we're like, well, let's get rid of these. We wanted a side-by-side, so let's trade up to it. So traded up to the side-by-side, and we've just been picking away, adding little thing by little thing on it. So hopefully make it go faster and have more fun with it. So.
Heck yeah. No, I personally, I was kind of looking at side-by-sides this last year because I really am a big fan, and one day I will own one of the newer Can-Am X3 turbos.
Yeah,
they're sweet.
Very nice.
Yep, I would love to have one of those. Absolutely love it. But where I'm living at right now, kind of in like a little subdivision area, I don't think they would really enjoy seeing that one driving and flying up and down the street. So, we're going to kind of wait until we get some actual space to be able to move across things. But that's kind of why I've been doing a lot of the diesel stuff that I've been doing. I wasn't huge into that over the last couple of years. I do work on the Cummins side of things. Most of the time in the shop, being the only diesel certified technician all the way in ours. So I worked on those a bunch, but then when I ran into this Duramax, it was one of those once-in-a-lifetime things. The truck was too nice to pass up. I didn't know a damn thing about it, nothing at all. But, it was one of those things where I just dove into it, and let's see what we can do on this thing. A lot like Christine does. If anybody hasn't seen what she has been working on over on her Instagram, what year is your Dakota? Like an 02?
It's a 2000 Dakota.
2000.
It was an RT.
6.1 SRT swap Dakota. How often do you see one of those guys? Yeah. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
It's actually becoming a pretty common swap now. It's actually I saw another friend of mine just put a 6.4 in one of his.
Huh. No, I personally, that's weird. I've never seen one. So I thought that was a really cool thing to see. You know, you guys having all of your different projects that you're working on, you know.
Oh yeah, there's
in there and out of the shop. That's really cool to see. So next question coming up on the list.
Keeps busy.
We will go take it back over to Christine. If you could have done anything different when you got started into the industry, whether it be, you know, your training, where you got started, if it was the manufacturer that you got started off with, what would you have changed looking back into your career?
In hindsight, I probably would have bought a bigger toolbox off the get-go, but it was a money issue. We've had this talk before. I bought a Mac, a purple Mac 1080p or 1080 toolbox, and the color's discontinued now, so I can't get a matching hutch. I can't get a matching locker. I wish I had bought everything all at one go. But other than that, I think that's really the only regret. I've always been working for Chrysler. My training worked out perfectly fine. I wish I'd gotten my training certification a little earlier. But other than that, no regrets.
Cool deal. How about you, Casey?
I have to say, when I was in college, and if anyone that knows how the UNO, like, the programs go, so you're in a classroom for 6 weeks and you're focusing on nothing but that one class for those 6 weeks. After those 6 weeks, I wish I would have came back home to Michigan and took that certification for that test, because it would have been quick and easy and out of the way instead of waiting a couple of years after school to get it all done, to get every single test that I wanted finished. But that's probably my only big regret that I have.
Yeah, that was one of always the big things that a lot of the guys, they don't jump in and do the bigger things that they were looking for as soon as they could. And as far as the toolbox, who doesn't want a bigger toolbox? More tools, you know? The problem, you know, they hand out all this debt for you too, you know, smartly, you know, smart enough you were to, you know, at least not jump too far in on that one. But being able to get what you want when you want it, that's another, you know, kind of toss up in on that side of things as well.
Yep.
So after that one, let's go ahead and open the floor. Do you guys have anything that you wanted to bring up, whether it be, you know, advice for new technicians going into the field, advice for, you know, females who are wanting to get on things earlier on? We need to, I personally think that we need to see more of a diverse generation coming into this thing. The hardest thing seeing with the millennial generation right now is a lot of them, they just don't, you know, enjoy working in general. Now, that's not the case for absolutely everybody in it, but, you know, they do start off that way. So what kind of advice would you guys give for people in general or females wanting to jump into the automotive industry from your viewpoints?
I would say get in, get your hands dirty, get your training, but remember that hands-on is just as important. Training gets you hired. After that, you got to know how to do the job.
Yeah.
Yep. Any advice for you, Casey?
Pretty much, if you want to do it, and you have to have thick skin, because this industry is not made for someone that can't take a joke.
I would definitely agree with that one. Anybody who's worked in a shop know that shop talk and shop banter is one of the bigger side of things that we have to kind of live through and go through nowadays.
I mean, if you think about it too, you're with the people you work with over 8 hours a day. You normally see those people more than you see your significant other that you go home to every day. So why be in a very bad situation at work, and then it's going to put your home life in a bad situation also? So you might as well get along with everyone that you work with.
Yep, I agree with that one. You guys put so many hours in, you know, not only right there in the shop, but also at home. You know, you girls have side projects and everything that you're working on. So, you know, you've got the stressors of that one. Hopefully you have significant others who support, you know, the side jobs that you do and everything for that, because mechanics are mechanics. You know, regardless, you're going to be living, breathing, dying with, you know, oil and fuel all over you pretty much all day long. It's something that they just got to live with. Yep. So at this time, if you guys in the comment section, if you want to ask any questions, let's go ahead and put some questions into the comments if you have them for Christine or Casey. If you guys are late tuning in, we are interviewing a couple of awesome female technicians in the automotive field. We have Casey from over on Instagram, the mechanic __ chick.
There you
2
go.
underscores. We got that one. And then we also have Christine, who is Speedychick85 over on Instagram as well. Looks like Jason from over at Old Car Auto Guy has one of his questions. He says, my son has difficulty with a classroom setting but wants to learn the mechanic trade. What would be your advice to him? And we'll start off with Casey on that one.
All right. So classroom setting. So when I was in tech school, our classroom setting was split half and half. So you had half shop time and half classroom time. Classroom time gets hard because you're like sitting there and you're a hands-on person. You learn more hands-on. Like most mechanics learn more hands-on than they do reading out of a book. You need to focus. That's the best thing I can tell you. And don't get sidetracked, and make sure he doesn't have his phone on him.
Christine?
Well, I actually had the benefit of, I took my college at night. So I was in the shop all day, and I would, you know, it was 3 or 4 hours a night, 2 to 3 nights a week, where we would, you know, you'd learn a little bit, and it was just that little bit of information, and you take it to work the next day, and you were able to digest it and kind of apply it. And so maybe it's not a full day of class. So you're in class throughout an entire school year, but you were able to digest it just a little bit easier. So that might be the idea. If he has trouble with, you know, 8 hours of class at a time, or 6 or 8 hours of class, break it down like that.
That is pretty good advice. I know through our program, if you go to the classroom setting, the 8 hours off and on, that is a hard one to do. But if you actually end up going into the shop and having the shop put you through training, then you're going to be doing a lot more of the live hands-on training through Chrysler, not through the school setting. So instead of like an 8-hour hands-on in training or book training, it's going to be more of like along the lines of like a 4 to 5-ish hour training. I know they say it goes a little bit longer, but some of the times not so much. So, but that would also stretch out the time span in which you get your training as well. You got to think about that one also. Bill MCK 12345 asks, how do they feel about their diagnostic skills? Good, bad, or what other content would you have on this one? Take it away, Christine.
Well, I'm usually the one that people run to. I've had, when I was up in Canada, actually, I would have TechLine would come to me and say, hey, we've got people with these other issues. And some of the instructors would send text to me if they had issues with a car. So I'm feeling pretty confident with my diagnostic skills.
Awesome. And you, Casey?
I'm confident in my Fords. Like I can.
You got them Fords under the belt, huh?
Yep, I'm pretty good with them. We have actually a text to scan tool that we recently got. And I guess we're like one of the only ones in our area that have it. So people send their big rigs to us to scan them and figure out issues that they can't figure out, because everything's new and everything's computerized now. So if you don't have a good scan tool, you're pretty much screwed. So I feel 50-50 confident. Well, maybe more like 75, but.
And there's nothing to hate on that one, especially if you're good at what you do.
Yeah.
You know, us being a Chrysler technicians, we've got maybe a little bit more of a broad spectrum in there. But if you are good at the Fords, and especially the 6-liters, something that nobody else wants to touch. And that's why people pay you guys the big bucks to come to you for the correct work, to have that one done. Being the best at what you're being the best at, you know, that's where the money is going to be made, regardless of what kind of industry or position that you guys are going to be in.
Yeah.
Let's see. Look for a couple other questions through here. I know I saw a couple of other ones. Do, 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 do. Captain Ron asked Mechanic Chick, you always have such well done nails in your Instagram post. How do you not break them, Casey?
They're awesome. So, okay, I started really short. And I like acrylics. And honestly, I'm still a female. I go out to dinner with my boyfriend. I really don't want the dirty, ugly, I'm a man hands. So, having acrylics, not only does it hide like the dirt and the grease and everything else, it just kind of, they look better out in public. And when you break a fake nail, you break a fake nail. Your finger doesn't get all purple because you broke the fake one. I have broken them doing stupid things like opening up a shop door. It just like falls off. I mean, it happens, but I haven't did anything too serious. And I've had them, I want to say, 5 years now, wrenching with them. So
nice.
They just kind of stay there.
And that is one of kind of your little staples that you make sure that you throw that in on your Instagram post. And I think you get a lot of feedback from that one.
That and the pink toolbox. So.
Oh, she does like her pink toolbox. As multiple toolboxes.
Yeah.
Jim from over at JRC54 asked, did you ever think about working with other car manufacturers? And I'll open that to other manufacturers, other fields even, when you were starting off, not just the automotive side. Christine?
Well, growing up, I mean, my family's always been Chrysler. So, I mean, that was not even a question for me. But that's me.
That's right. Mopar, no car.
Exactly.
I knew I wasn't going to work on cars. It's not my strong suit. I do not like it. One gets dropped off to our shop and I give it off to somebody else because I'm pretty much at a mom and pop shop. Like, it's family owned. It's me, 2 other kids that end up working, and our boss. Like, that's it. We have our small, like, little family. So we work on everything, but I will not work on a car.
Gotcha.
Like, you want me to replace a rack and pinion? I know maybe this much about what you're talking about. So we're going to go with that.
Nice. Definitely. So Andrew V asks, what are your ladies' opinions on heavily modified vehicles coming in basically off labor times and from one time? So I imagine he's asking off of flat rate time. I will throw that one in there. Do you guys work both flat rate at the shops that you work at, or do you work hourly? And then going into his, what are your views on some of the modified vehicles that come into the shop? Casey?
Well, we charge extra. I'm hourly, and we charge extra if a vehicle's lifted, if it has this big push bumpers in the front of it, if it's tuned and deleted, we also have to charge a little bit more due to the fact of we can lose our Michigan licenses if we touch something that has been deleted and they want us to work on it. Michigan's like super temperamental. They won't even let us delete anything. So if someone wants like a DPF deleted on their truck, we would technically have to do it in our own time and not in the shop.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you, Christine?
I don't have a problem with modified vehicles. We do charge extra. I'm flat rate. So, I mean, you know how that goes. You just account for, if you know it's going to take you extra time, you throw that in there and you discuss it with the customer.
Oh, yeah. One of the big things, you know, between the three of us, we all work in the northern states between here. I am in Ohio, Casey's in Michigan, Christine's in Pennsylvania. So rust plays an obvious, you know, big play into things. So all the rusty crusties falling everywhere and everything breaking, you have to warn people ahead of time. And, you know, that always sucks for that one. Bill also asked another question for Speedy Chick. What car line gives you the most difficult time diagnosing, and what comes easiest to you?
It's one of those funny things. Once you know a brand, you can kind of understand the engineering language. Fords drive me up the wall, though. I don't know why. Fords bug me. I'm sorry, Casey, but Fords bug me.
And Casey, anything that you have a hard time other than cars? Obviously, she doesn't like working on the cars.
No.
What do you not like to see coming in?
I don't mind working on semis. I hate taking off their tires. Like, it's probably the most time-consuming thing is to take off a tire on a semi. I even have like a fancy tool to get duals to separate, and it's cool and all, but it's so time-consuming, and you're just like spending a half an hour to take some tires off. Like, it's pointless. Duramaxes are also kind of a pain in the butt because it's all nothing but fuel lines. So
nah.
Fuel. It's so many fuel issues, but besides for that, it's nothing too bad.
There's a couple of other questions in here between Yoda and Jim. We're going to kind of mesh that one together. When you got started off in the industry, Yoda asked if you got hazed, things with jobs, people sabotaging you, giving hard times at work, and, you know, were your bosses harder on you, giving you a hard time when you started off as well? We'll start off with you on that one, Casey.
So I worked at a shop as I was supposed to field wash. So like field trucks and wash them for a year. They promised me a mechanic spot directly after that year mark. So basically getting my foot in the door at the shop. My supervisor at the time absolutely hated me, like made it a point to get me fired. So between having my piercings, they're like, yep, you're getting written up for that. You didn't take your tongue ring out. Like, just dumb things. So that was kind of a little rough. And when they told me at the point in time, I didn't know how to back up a like sleeper cab in a 53-foot trailer. It's nighttime because I worked second shift. It was horrible. But they're like, here's the keys. Go park this next to 2 brand new semis. I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but I mean, sure, let's try. It's like tormented me for 2 hours of the day. That was probably the worst experience I think I've had working with anything. But hazing wise, I guess someone's gonna give me shit, I'll give it to them right back. That's the best.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's what I like to hear. What about you, Christine?
Nothing really major. I mean, you all get, you get a little hazing from as an apprentice or as a lube kid or somebody. You're always going to get something. I drove customers in the shuttle for a while. I was hourly, so I was making people money. They didn't really give me grief, but a couple bottle bombs, that kind of thing, just to kind of spook you. Other than that, I had one place I worked at, the trim guy used to put up signs. Whenever my husband would give me flowers, he would put up a sign saying roses, $1 each, and he'd try to sell my flowers on me. But other than that, I mean, everything's been fine.
That's a pretty good one. I'll have to remember that one. I know our parts lady, she does about the same thing. So I'm gonna have to give her a hard time on that one to remember that one. That's cool. Somebody else asked you, within your best work that you do on these things, what is your gravy job? Like, when that one job comes into your shop, what do you absolutely love to see? Like, yeah, I can knock that one out. I can make time on that one and make all the money, leave everything else to everyone else. Start with you, Christine.
Grand Cherokee steering rack. That one's a good one. Or I can do cams and Hemis pretty quick as long as we can get parts.
That's always the hardest thing. I know that one. Oh, parts for Chrysler, horrendous. What about you, Casey?
Pretty much anything on a 6.0, honestly. Like turbos, oil coolers, EGR coolers. Like,
how fast can you have a cab off of a 6.0?
Yeah, we're best friends. We get along.
How fast can you have the cab off of one? That was one of the things they told us. You don't take cabs off?
We don't take cabs off.
What?
We do not have a 2-post hoist where I work.
Oh man, that makes your job so much worse.
Yeah, I can pull an engine in a 6.0 without taking the cab or lifting it.
That's pretty impressive. Gonna have to say, I know that at least on the Duramax side of things, also to be able to work on a lot of the stuff, it's just so much simpler to get all that heavy steel and metal up out of your way, and for you to be working on these 6.0s without taking cabs off, that's pretty impressive.
Yep, it's all inside or pulling them with a forklift. It's not too bad.
So another question that somebody had sent me through messaging here is for you ladies, if you are on YouTube or Instagram, what kind of people or what kind of videos do you tend to watch on those? Casey?
So let's say like I open up my Instagram account and people are like, why do you have so many more followers and you don't follow that many people? So I use my Instagram as to like scroll through stuff that I like. So lifted trucks, people doing engine work, toolboxes, you know, just fun, exciting things. That's mainly like if someone has like a huge, I guess mechanic mind, I'll follow you. And I follow all my female mechanic friends back because our community is huge. If you look online, there's a lot of females that do what we do. And it's nice to talk to other females. So that's pretty cool to see too.
Cool. And you, Christine?
I follow all sorts of stuff. I follow photographers. I've got my racing scene. You know, there's mechanics, there's welders, there's you name it. Obviously, family stuff like that. It's a everything. Like it says in my profile, I said I follow stuff I like. I post things I like. You name it.
That's awesome. Yeah, one of the biggest things, I had him ask, the things that I follow on there. I do like tool channels. I'm kind of a tool whore. I will admit that one. It's kind of hard. I spend way too much money on tools, but I do like my tools and I like my lifted trucks as well. It's something that I normally wasn't into before I started my Duramax build, but I've gotten into that scene quite a bunch, and that it's all about the community of things for me. I know that the automotive mechanics, I'm good at it. This is kind of what I do in my day-to-day life thing. But the community that surrounds us is what makes everything absolutely amazing. Between Instagram and here on YouTube, the support that the different communities give, I think, is what steers me towards what I ended up liking. If I, kind of try to check out a couple of other things, if their community is, just a bunch of hazers and it's hating back and forth. I know the tool guys, everybody's got an opinion on those between your toolboxes and what kind of tools you get. You get a lot of hazing and a lot of bad talk for the kind of tools that you buy here and there. But I try to be pretty open-minded on that one. Somebody else asked, what would be your favorite version of toolbox if you had price was not an option? We'll start with Christine.
Oh, well, I almost pulled the trigger on an Epic. So, I mean, we haven't had a Mac rep in 6 months. I'm looking at an Epic. If it wasn't a cost thing, I'd probably do an 84-inch Epic top and bottom with a locker. I mean, you've got pretty much the same thing. I just don't have the room or the money. So.
Yeah, room is definitely a big thing. Some of the smaller shops or the dealerships, they have requirements. Like you only have 8 feet of space to work with. That's your spot and that's it. So yeah, that kind of sucks for that one. You, Casey?
Oh no, I have space. I got shoved into the back of the corner because my box is pink. And the boss is like, like my whole entire area is pink. Yeah, I would have to go with a Snap-on box all day, an Epic. Probably a purple one, unless I could get hot pink, but I would have to have someone paint it.
custom painted box. I know Captain Ron, I'm not going to hate on this one, but he does love his purple boxes.
Yeah.
He was so torn between a purple box with black trim or black box with purple trim, and he ended up pulling the trigger on a black box with the purple trim.
Yep, I love my purple trim. The metallic purple is amazing. So I had to I'm going to splurge and get the extra metallic purple trim to add on to my box. And it looks
Oh
great.
yeah, I was super glad that I ended up going with the flat one. That's not something you see too often, that flat black, but the Epic series is, you know, it was a lot. It was a lot of money. Yeah, I'll definitely admit with that one, but with having the Master Series that I had prior to this one all paid for, having the trade-in that they gave me on that one helped out a lot for that one.
Too.
Oh yes, absolutely. They're kind of like, you know, Jeeps and lifted or diesel trucks these days. The value that those things hold are absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. So looking forward for you ladies here in the next couple of months and everything. What are some projects that you're looking forward to doing? I know you guys have kind of talked about what projects you have, but what kind of aspirations for your Instagram accounts are you looking at doing for that one? Somebody had asked me if you were wanting to start any of your own YouTube channels up. What kind of stuff are we going to look forward to from you girls? We'll start with Casey.
Well, the boyfriend just ended up getting an 06 Cummins. So, of course, he bought it and it's lifted and looks all sexual. So now my Ford's like stock. It's basic. There's nothing exciting about it. So now I have to make my truck at least look like his. So that's probably going to be coming up here soon. And then,
cool.
Of course, building our Razor up. So
awesome. And you, Christine?
Project wise, I got a 68 Camaro in the driveway I've got to get together too for a friend. That's an engine and transmission all out, just making it a nice daily driver. That one's actually going back to Ohio. That one I might make some YouTube videos on, especially for the drive home. And for the next little while, I'm going to do Woodward Dream Cruise this summer. So we're going to do a couple, I'll probably do some YouTube videos on the cruise out there, and then, you know, driving that. So we'll see. Who knows?
That would be some cool content to look into. And if you guys have not already over on Instagram, make sure you give these ladies a follow. Here in the description, I will be sure to have their links. Actually, I have already kind of put them into the links below there for you. So if you have Instagram, make sure you follow Christine and Casey, both over on Instagram. Casey's is mechanic__chick, and Speedychick85 is going to be Christine's over on Instagram. Well, we've been going for about 52 minutes now, just under an hour. I want to give a big thank you and shout out to both of the ladies on here for deciding to join in with the live stream with us tonight. We've been trying to kind of change it up, get some different opinions on the automotive industry and the different fields that we kind of deal with. Here on my channel, we do things from tool videos, lifted trucks, diesel things, and automotive things for the Chrysler side. So seeing both of your different opinions was something really awesome as well. So I will give you a big thank you for coming in tonight. I appreciate that one.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, thank you.
All righty, guys. Well, that's going to be about it for tonight. I appreciate everybody tuning into the channel. Like I said, if you haven't, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Go over on Instagram. Follow both of these ladies on Instagram because they do some awesome things over there. They have some great projects. And as you heard from them, they're going to be doing some great projects here throughout the summer that you guys are going to want to have a watch on. So thank you. I appreciate it. And as always, guys, everyone, you guys stay awesome.
Mm-hmm.